it is to renew an old Big 8 rivalry, the 13th-ranked Kansas State Wildcats and the Missouri Tigers. Missy Heidrich, the former K-State guard. I'm Chucky Kemp. Bill Snyder presenting the game ball on the court right now. What better two teams could you ask for in the season, the start that they're having to the season on this night, on this court? What a night.
I think this is going to be a fantastic afternoon of women's basketball. A wonderful environment. We're going to see high-octane offense versus a lockdown defensive effort from both of these teams. And this Kansas State squad ranked 13th in the nation. They have all of the tools, all of the things that they need in the wheelhouse. But whether or not this Missouri team, they themselves have a lot of weapons on the floor, and we're going to see that today.
They're getting set to announce the starting lineups inside the Civic Arena here. And you look at Kansas State and what Jeff Mittie has. They returned 4 starters from a season ago. And then what do you add into that mix? A 2-time All-American in Ayoka Lee.
It's been fantastic to see Ayoka Lee return to the lineup for Kansas State. As you said, an All-American, the 6'6" redshirt senior center from Byron, Minnesota. Her numbers speak for themselves. But the thing you have to understand is that she has been back over 600-plus days since she went from her last game to her first exhibition game this season on November 3rd, logging 25 minutes per game on average. But versus P5 opponents like they will see tonight against Missouri, it's been north of 30 to 35 minutes. Her comfort on the court, her familiarity, her stamina has increased. All of those pieces of the puzzle, understand there's the lead factor when you talk about what she brings to the floor for Kansas State.
Ayoka Lee, once the 38th ranked post player out of high school, not recruit, but post player out of Byron High School back in 2018, and she's looking to add another All-American nod to her resume. On the other side, a talented young Missouri team, but they do have one fifth-year in Haley Frank, who will lead the way.
She is the player that I think keeps this and runs this engine for Mizzou. When you talk to the Missouri coaches, they will say she is the ultimate leader on and off the floor. The 6'1", fifth-year senior forward from Stratford, Missouri, a first-team All-SEC selection last season. She's averaging almost 18 points a game and 7+ rebounds at this point. 6th on the all-time scoring chart at Mizzou, which is littered with huge names that have been part of the history of Mizzou women's basketball. The thing I love about her game, Chucky, is she's a versatile, a 3-level scorer, which we like to talk about. The range, the ability to get to the rim, the mid-range jumper that makes you hard to guard, but you cannot foul her. She's a career 87% free throw shooter. It is automatic if you put her at the line.
Yeah, 92% this year, 18 points a game. She is tremendous. Fantastic matchup. When you look at this and you break down the things that we've seen from these teams so far, Missouri playing at a really high pace under Robin Pinkston, probably the fastest they've ever played. On the other side, Kansas State, they can do that. We saw it from them last year, but with Ayoka Lee, maybe a little bit slower. That's an interesting dynamic to watch.
It's been very different to see this Kansas State offense develop this season when you put Lee back into the game. When you think about that factor of having her back in there, over 50% of their offensive production has come in the paint. But on the flip side for Missouri, this has been about a transition game. They love to get out and go. Right now, they are 3rd in the SEC in scoring at almost 81+ a game, 25th in the nation in field goal percentage, but they're going to shoot it from 3. So if you're Kansas State and this lockdown defense that they have had all season long, you have to defend the 3-point line. It's about contesting shooters, finding them in transition, and then you've got to rebound out of that as well. So that's where Mizzou will make you scramble. They're going to make you work for every defensive possession.
Yeah, both of these teams really good in the rebound margin. Mizzou plus 7.5. Kansas State plus 11. That's certainly something to watch as well. Big round of applause here for Serena Sundell, who is playing as close to home as she ever will in her college career. She's from about 40 miles north in Maryville, Missouri, where she is the all-time record holder for the Maryville Spoofhounds in points scored. There's a lot of people in the building tonight that have not seen her in person since high school, and they're ready to see her.
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic homecoming for Serena Sundell. And the junior right now maybe playing some of the best basketball she has of her entire career. Over the last few games, she has found her footing. It's been a much more aggressive Serena Sundell. She's averaging almost 10 points a game. She leads this team in assists. She was part of the all-tournament team when they went to the Gulf Coast Showcase just a couple weeks ago in Florida. The biggest factor for Sundell is that she's got to control the game. She absolutely has to be that quarterback out front for Kansas State. That's what Jeff Mittie has asked her to do since she was a freshman. She went into that role, kind of threw her into the fire. We're going to see some freshmen also for Mizzou that have been thrown into the fire. And this Mizzou coaching staff has really, really liked what they have gotten from those freshmen.
Jeff Mittie, kind of a homecoming for him as well. He started his now 32-year head coaching career in this city in St. Joseph, Missouri, at Missouri Western State University, where he had 3 very successful years, went to 2 Division II NCAA tournaments, finished 3rd in 1995. A long time ago, Jeff Mittie was here, now leading the Kansas State Wildcats in year 10, going head-to-head with Robin Pingeton in year 14, the 2017 SEC Coach of the Year. They've been to 4 NCAA tournaments under her, and they've been close a number of other times. A young team, but a talented team, and what a matchup. For the first time since 2017, it is Kansas State and Missouri, and Aoka Lee controls the tip for the Wildcats. Here comes Serena Sundell and company.
And right out of the gate, zone look from Missouri. They're going to pack it in. It's almost as though you've got to decide, do you want to give that up in the post, or are you going to allow this Kansas State team to try to beat you from the perimeter?
Tremendous hustle there by Gabby Gregory, who was their leading scorer a season ago, but stepped on the line. I feel like you've seen that a lot this year in college basketball, but it's a turnover on Kansas State.
Well, and for a lot of gyms, you've got 2 lines. And so that's one of the things I think people get disassociated where they are on the floor. But as you said, the hustle play by Gregory, that's why she gets big-time minutes for Jeff Mittie. But they're going to need those. The key here now defensively, this is some of the biggest length that Kansas State has seen all season long, Chucky. And that's not only going to be defensively, but then how they can attack them here on this end of the floor.
Something we talked about off the air before the game. Missouri doesn't necessarily have Aoka Lee size, but they do have size all across the board. First 3 on the way. 2 strong there from the talented freshman Grace Slaughter.
And when you get a lot of three-point shots that will come from Mizzou, you're going to get long rebounds, just as we see there from Gregory. Who's going to track those down? It's going to be 50-50 possessions that may very well win this thing.
Great pass to the corner. Open 3 is good. Nice start for Abby Fight, a grad student from Normal, Illinois.
She was an all-conference player in Evansville, scored over 1,500 points in her career from the Aces. She's got 3-point range. Part of this arsenal for Mizzou, where they get out and spread the floor.
You mentioned it, transfer from Evansville. Missouri has 8 newcomers, some talented freshmen, a number of transfers as well. Skip pass across, looking for an answer. Too strong. Aoka Lee has an offensive rebound. Sundell for the first time. Got it.
And that's on cue right there. Couldn't have asked for a better start for Serena Sundell. But it comes off the rebound from Aoka Lee. That's the cleanup factor. She's going to get you some offensive rebounds, allow you to reset second chance opportunities.
A number of these players are familiar with each other as well. Ask Grace Slaughter about that, and she remembers growing up playing against a number of Kansas State players. Said Taryn Sides, actually somebody she played with a lot growing up, is really close to her. Slaughter played against the Glenn twins in high school in Kansas City, in that area. And another turnover. Gregory looking for Lee.
And against this 1-3-1 zone, they have packed it in, but they're also getting out and covering shooters. Give credit to Mizzou early. I think that's one of the things that Robin Pingeton has talked about with their team, is that they've got to be better in their half court defensively. These are early good possessions from Mizzou simply because they're not only giving away those touches, but they're getting out and contest shooters.
Skipped across, corner 3, too strong. Sundell rebounds. She has been so good in so many ways this year. Top 3 in points per game, rebounds per game, and leads them in assists per game. Into Gregory, looking for the high-low. Mid-range jumper, no.
But that middle of the floor, free throw line extended, that's where that ball's got to go against this zone. You've got to force Mizzou to have to make a choice.
Another 3, and again, too strong, similar spot. Nice rebound by Jalen Glenn, one of the Glenn twins. Briley on the court right now as well. A couple players get tangled up underneath Haley Frank and Aoka Lee.
And 2 experienced first-team all-conference players from their respective leagues. And it's going to be physical. We're going to see a lot of pushing and shoving and bodies flying everywhere here this afternoon. We've seen early threes from Missouri, but keep in mind, Chucky, they were 10 of 24 in their win against Missouri State at home. They're going to let it fly from behind the arc. You got to get out and contest.
Nice pass from Sundell. Glenn straight away. It's not going right now for Kansas State.
It's been limited, and that's what this zone does, is it packs you in.
Mama Dembele has had a great tempo and goes inside, gets the finish to take the early lead.
What I love about that play, she keeps that dribble alive. She came out of the middle of the lane, didn't pick it up, and then just turns the corner to get deep. She can control it out front for Mizzou just as Sundell does for the Wildcats.
Sanchez fades away. Nice shot in the mid-range from Gisela Sanchez. From Barcelona, Spain. Was actually on the team last year, but was injured in the summer playing with Spain in one of their youth teams. Slaughter was short. Sanchez has the rebound.
Those are the looks you want. The in and out opportunity is going to be there. Force this K-State defense to have to shift. Mizzou just has not been able to capitalize yet.
And they go over the top to Lee, and they do. Tough to handle. Second chance goes.
And that's why you got to block out on the weak side. She draws so much attention, but you see the vision of Serena Sundell to find that All-American in the post.
5 apiece. Great tempo to this game so far. 4.5 minutes played. Step back shot blocked by Sanchez. And they just signaled that Kansas State ball, and that was definitely tipped.
Yeah, I think it was. But yeah.
And they do fix it.
Yeah, I was going to say they had a conversation over there on the opposite side that is going to be out of bounds underneath. Keeps the 14 on the shot clock. Does not reset for Missouri. Out of bounds underneath.
Taryn Sides checks in for Kansas State. They go inside to Frank. She likes that matchup, but misses. Offensive rebound and a foul called against the Wildcats. So here is the talented free throw shooter, Haley Frank.
Great execution on the out of bounds underneath. Just the old school pick the picker, and they wait for her to be able to be open. And when she's there, draws that contact, doesn't get it to go the first time. I'm sure she'd love to have that back, but putting Haley Frank at the free throw line is simply almost completely automatic. We said earlier, 87% for her career. So far this season, she has made 30 consecutive free throws, make that 34.
Putting pressure on her right
I
now.
know. I feel like I do this all the time.
Okay.
This happens all the time. It doesn't matter where I go. I will jinx someone along the way, I promise. And I apologize to Haley and everybody from her family out there watching and listening.
Didn't work that time. Almost taken away, and it is Dembele, who was one of the top stealers in the country. Misses, but the follow is there. Abby Schreck, one of those freshmen.
Getting minutes off the bench for Missouri, but you see the explosiveness of Dembele in front. She is so quick and anticipates.
Tied for 4th in the nation in steals, now has 34 on the season. Sanchez liking the mid-range. Great box out underneath there by Ashton Judd. Extra pass was off Mizzou. Was it tipped? And there might be another correction here, but we do have our first media timeout. What a great start. Missouri and Kansas State. The Tigers leading the Wildcats 9-7.
The king of all collectibles is Kingdom Cards and Collectibles in St. Joseph. If you have a sports card collection and want to buy, sell, or trade, contact us for an appraisal. We specialize in modern and vintage sports trading cards, sports memorabilia, and more. We have collectibles for all ages, so stop by Kingdom Cards and Collectibles at 1202 South Belt Highway, or contact Ricky today at 816-385-4019.
Colton, can you spell the word yes, please? That's not how you spell yes.
AIS spells yes.
Kansas State, Missouri, separated by just 2 points. Another Wildcat turnover, though. A few of those early on so far. That's their 4th. But only trailing Missouri by 2. This is a Missouri team that can really light it up. 3 on the way. That was tipped by Sundell. And that is another thing she does really well, is block shots from the guard position. contact there. If this is on her, though, that is her second.
And now Jeff Mitty's going to have a choice to make. Do you keep the junior in the game with those 2 fouls here early in this game? 4:03 left in the first half, or excuse me, in this first quarter. But Sundell is such a kind of control in terms of that quarterback of what Kansas State needs, but has also flourished when they can move her off the ball a little bit. But right now it seems as though tempo, pace, all being controlled by Missouri. What they wanted to do defensively, left it up and pack it in the lane, and been able to get downhill on the offensive end.
So Sundell takes a seat, and the question is how long? 14 minutes remain before halftime. 4 left here in this first quarter. Taryn Sides, a freshman from Phillipsburg, Kansas, now to run the show for Kansas State. Also out there, Ziona Walker, transfer from Louisville, one of 2 transfers from the Cardinals.
Young faces for Missouri, for Kansas State. We know there's a lot of youngsters that get time for Missouri, but both Sides and Walker have been key factors here early in the season for the Wildcats. Other aspects on the guard play, whether it's been on defense, but also giving them boosts offensively.
Tough 3 here goes. High arcing shot from Abby Fight.
You know she's got range. She's seen action in all 10 games. Hasn't necessarily been 100%. Seems as though she's found it here this afternoon at St. Joe.
Kansas State looking for an answer. That is too strong. Tipped out. Missouri controls.
It's been 1-3-1 looks when Lee has been in the lineup, when she has gone out now. Chucky, they went to a bit of a 1-2-2. So this is going to be all about zone offense for Kansas State. They haven't responded, but they've also got to find a way to get stops down here.
3 starters on the bench right now for the Wildcats. One of them Sundell with 2 fouls. Another 3 on the way. No good that time. Tipped around for Sanchez, who's having to play big minutes in this first quarter. Into Sanchez. Gregory working for it. They just cannot find a lane to get it to her. Sides 10 to shoot, pulls up mid-range, splash.
And that stops the bleeding right there for Kansas State. And the freshman has the ability to be a scorer, but they've got to get more movement against this zone. Whether it's some high picks to the middle of the floor, that's where you're going to beat it in the gaps.
Judd, mid-range, kind of off balance. Sanchez, another rebound.
Gisela Sanchez giving Jeff Mitty some big minutes here early in this ball game.
Up top to her. Ooh, and the turnover right on cue is a decent look, but maybe too far under the hoop. Then Belly, what a crossover, goes inside with the left hand. A late whistle against Sides.
And that's just the senior being able to go one-on-one against the freshman. But again, keeps that dribble alive and then gets herself downhill to draw contact and get to the free throw line. Right now, she is the person that I feel has controlled the pace and tempo here in this first quarter. For Missouri, they've gotten the shots they wanted. It hasn't been great percentages, but yet on the flip side, when they've needed it, it's getting to the free throw line, finding an open person, just making that next pass and an easy play.
Kansas State does not turn it over a lot, but you're taking Serena Sundell out of your lineup here, putting a freshman point guard out on the floor against one of the best on-ball defenders in the country, and things, that's a little scary.
Yes, there's a lot of pressure right now on these younger Kansas State guards.
That'll help alleviate some of that pressure. Ayoka Lee.
And that goes back to the lead factor we said at the very beginning. 50% of the Kansas State point production so far this season coming in the paint.
Fighting through it, Slaughter goes around Lee. Left hand rims off. K-State will push the tempo here with Sides. Gregory lobbing up. Ayoka Lee. Great catch and finish.
They tried to match up, and then it's straight one-on-one, and that is Haley Frank trying to get position. But one of the things Ayoka Lee could do so well is she can catch anywhere on the floor, whether it's deep or high. Right now, the matchup problems that the Wildcats have, where they move Ayoka Lee out front, that's where Mizzou can take advantage.
Great fight inside by Walker there to shield it off for Sides to pull in the rebound. Kansas State trying to tie or take the lead. Looking for Lee. Chased down by Frank from behind. They are all over her in the paint.
you know she's going to draw a lot of attention. She has lived her entire career with double and triple teams. She understands that. Part of it is be able to catch and then reverse quick, get out of the mess. But this, right now, this Mizzou defense really honed in on limiting those touches, but you also got to be active on the glass. It's about box out and moving her out of the way.
Sundell comes back in. Lee called for a push on Frank.
And Jeff Benny not at all happy with that call, and I understand why. Part of it is that as the offensive player, you are supposed to be able to have that position. I have a right to where I'm at. However, you can't necessarily just bowl somebody over. That is going to be a 50-50 call every time that one goes against Lee.
Jeff Mitty still not happy about it. Talking to Bill Lawrence, one of our officials. Missouri working the clock right now, about a 4-second differential. 8 to shoot. Frank fighting through traffic, stepping back. 3 to shoot. Kicks it out. 2 to shoot. Mid-range shot, no good, and K-State has a chance here because that went out of bounds with 3.3 on the clock.
Yeah, big defensive possession right there for the Wildcats to get a stop here to end this first quarter.
They get it on the move into Glenn. Gets beyond midcourt, has a pretty good look on the run. It's just short. Would have given Kansas State the lead after one quarter, but instead it's the Missouri Tigers leading K-State 15-13, trying to make it 4 straight victories over their rival. We will step away. Second quarter coming up in just a minute.
Live.
Anything surprise you in the first quarter?
Well, we saw 6 turnovers by Kansas State, which is a bit uncharacteristic for this group, only averaging about 13.3 per game. But that's the pressure defense right out of the gate from Missouri. Much more aggressive, I thought. Neither team shooting the ball well from behind the three-point line. They're going to give them those shots. It's about defending shooters and tracking down long rebounds.
There's Haley Frank now over to Fight, who has 6 points. She's hit both of her triples. Judd traveled. It was a nice mid-range shot, but turns it over first. Ashton Judd, she's having a great year.
She is, and she's coming off an all-SEC freshman team selection last year in 2023. She's been the second leading scorer so far for this Tiger squad, but a young lady who just continues to work at her game day in, day out. They can't keep her out of the gym at Mizzou. And she's been a big factor for some of the early successes that this Missouri team has had.
Ioka Lee fouled inside. There was one thing Robin Pinchton talked to us about with her Missouri team, and even said it to me today at shoot-around, was got some players who like their routines, so we got to make sure they get through their shooting routines.
And part of that is just understanding what you need individually, and you know it. So to be able to kind of feel like you can have a rhythm, whether it's in a game or in practice, even on an off day, whatever that looks like. Everybody becomes a creature of habit. I think college student athletes, probably athletes in general, become creatures of habit. You also become superstitious. So I'm sure if we did a poll out of all of these young women, we would come up with some pretty crazy superstitions.
Did you have any?
I had a few random ones.
Okay.
Yes, random. Like have to make one before you go in.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff.
Inside Frank over the top of Lee there. Nice finish by Haley Frank.
And I love that isolation. You've got to get the ball in Haley Frank's hands. She's their leading scorer. She's the engine that makes this team go.
Her first field goal, she has 4 points. Inside, Gregory leans in, misses. K-State very selective with their shots early on. Had a couple looks from 3 maybe on that possession. Fight fires away but short. What a save right in to Hika Fedrape. Missouri 12 to shoot now. Frank got it right over Gregory.
And that all comes from that second chance opportunity and the hustle play for Missouri. They've got 5 offensive rebounds so far. Extra possessions may be the difference in this game later on.
Sundell, her second attempt from 3 is no good. It goes off Judd's foot, and so K-State gets a full shot clock back at 30.
And I think Jeff Mitty just trying to find that right combination here offensively. of where they can attack Missouri against the zone. When they do go man, then you got to look for those mismatches and look for the isolation for Lee. But they've got to get better movement, find the gaps, and shoot the ball with some confidence.
Lee trying to work inside. Nice move to get deep in the post. Riley Glenn.
Riley Glenn coming off 11 points, 5 steals in their win against McNeese earlier this week. She is the kind of player that can turn the corner and get downhill. That penetration can be key against the zone.
Yeah, just twice in double figures this year against McNeese and Wisconsin. Had 11 in each of those games. She's hit a 3 in every game so far this season. Thought about one right there. Instead, much better look, but off the mark from Walker.
That ball never left the left side of the floor, Chucky, and if you're Kansas State, you got to get better movement.
Wild pass turnover against Missouri this time. That is something that has been an issue this year. Almost 17 a game for the Tigers. You look at the Virginia loss, they were -8 in that category with 18 total.
Yeah, the number that jumped off the page for me when they played and win against Missouri State at home earlier this week was just a 13 turnover. So you've got to remember, every turnover in a game is a trip where you don't even get a shot. So if I'm Robin Pinkston and this is a fast-paced, up and down offense right now for them, they need those possessions.
That's a great possession right there from K-State. Sundell to Lee. You really can't front her, can you?
It's really difficult unless you get good help sides, and you have to have rotations. That's the difference. For teams that rotate well, then you can exploit that. If you are not going to rotate, you got to force her to go over your defense.
Sides inside. Lee now just arriving. Goes up. Whistle. And 2 free throws coming up for Ioka Lee.
That initiated contact right there. And the foul's going to go against Abby Fike. And you still kind of heard the moan from the Missouri sideline over there and the Mizzou fans in this arena. Part of that is her feet were moving. She wasn't necessarily set. And that is a lot of contact as Lee comes down that lane. But I like the effort to step in because that's where you can pick up a call. Sooner or later, that might go the other direction, be a whistle against Lee and a foul.
You feel confident that you would step in front of Ioka Lee coming down the lane?
It depends. Not anymore.
Today? Okay, yeah, not today. Okay.
No. When I was 20, 21, maybe.
Okay,
I'm not
all
doing
right.
it today. I bet you on that one.
Yeah. Tied at 20. Tough catch right there for Schreck. Finally able to recover it. Now a steal. K-State numbers ahead. Walker up and gets the roll. Nice finish over the top.
And that's where this Kansas State defense has to be. They've got to generate offense with their defense. Quick hands, better pressure out front, gets in the tip and the layup on the other end.
Ziona Walker, a former top 40 recruit in the 2022 Kansas Gatorade Player of the Year, played at Wichita Heights High School. Lee with a rebound, 5-on-4 for Kansas State. Sundell slashing contact, and that is number 3 on Serena Sundell. That was the risk. There are a lot of people in this building that came to watch her tonight, and she will have to take another seat.
Yeah, when you've got 2 fouls, you've got to remember that. You've got to play a little bit smarter, avoid that extra contact. And that was a huge charge and a big play right there by the senior leader, Haley Frank, to step in. Sundell's going to have to take a seat. Now a different look offensively for Kansas State. But Taryn Sides and Ziona Walker, both freshmen, stay in this lineup. As you said, they are young, but they have been big keys to this team being 8-1 and number 13 in the country.
Out to Slaughter. Over the top of Lee. That is a tough one to get to go when you're looking over Ioka Lee at 6'6". Deep 3 from Sides. Tipped out by Lee. Inside low pass. Lee finishes through contact.
And that is the one thing that has been such a difference maker for Kansas State this season is not only to have her be able to be in the game, to be able to catch and finish with contact, but to be able to have guards that will feed her when she's open.
24-20, Kansas State on a 7-0 run over the last 3 minutes and 11 seconds. It is the inaugural Bill Snyder Basketball Classic from Civic Arena in St. Joseph.
Dylan Larkin and the Red Hot Redwings face Robert Thomas and the St. Louis Blues. Then it's a superstar showdown. It's Connor Bedard and the Blackhawks.
How did he do that?
Head to Edmonton to meet Connor McDavid and the Oilers.
McDavid! It's not real!
2 games, 1 night. Red Wings Blues at 7:30. Blackhawks Oilers at 10. Tuesday on ESPN. On ESPN.
Marks in the SEC. Judd. She can't get it to go. Some of these misses have been pretty big misses.
Yes, they've been big misses, but they've been good looks. I mean, they come off the hand in front of us, and they look as though they're going to go in. Contested threes, one of the most difficult to make.
It's another wild pass from Kansas State. Turnover number 8 for the Wildcats.
Yeah, those are the ones that, as a coach, I'm sure Jeff Mitty would love to have back, because those are the possessions there where they get the mismatch. You got the advantage. You got to be able to complete that pass and get the ball inside to your 6'6" All-American.
These are the games early in the season that mean something at the end, that can really make the difference. And we talked to Robin Pinchton. She mentioned being, a game away a couple times in recent years from maybe being in that NCAA tournament. This could be that game.
Yeah, I think this is a huge opportunity, and really for both of these teams,
Yeah.
because you want to be able to kind of stomp your foot and say, yep, another P5 opponent, someone who's going to have really good rankings when it's all said and done, opportunities to be good teams within their league here as conference play starts in a couple weeks. And I think Missouri understands that. They know for them, with a lot of newcomers and young faces, these are big-time games that they cannot allow those opportunities to slip by.
2 of Missouri's first 3 SEC opponents as Frank hits the mid-range shot, LSU and South Carolina.
Talk about having your hands full right out of the gate. So this would be a big boost, not only just for those numbers themselves, but I think it's a confidence builder, especially for a young team.
Cross-court pass, side, spotting up, too strong, Lee for Gregory. Look at the extra passes here. The Glenn twins can't connect. Dembele, again, pushing that tempo. She's been so effective running the show for Missouri. Frank wants another one, short.
And those are the possessions where you stepped Ioka Lee out of the middle of the lane.
Inside the Lee, and you cannot stop her at that point.
And you step her out defensively, but yet she's able to run the floor and get good position. As we said, it's stamina, consistency, and her comfort level coming back just over 600-plus days from the last time she had played to the exhibition game in November.
16 points to lead the Wildcats for Ioka Lee. Scoop layup. What a finish! Ashton Judd, the sophomore from West Plains, Missouri.
She played in every game a year ago as a freshman and is one of those statement makers, but there's another on the floor. And Gabby Gregory, her numbers have not been fantastic, but yet the intangibles have got her the minutes for Jeff Mitty so far this season.
Shooting numbers have really struggled. She's dealing with a little bit of a wrist issue right now, but you know what she is capable of. 18.5 points per game last year as the foul is whistled against Jalen Glenn.
And that's Abby Schreck, being able to get downhill and put the ball on the floor. And that's what I'd love to see more. Early success for Missouri against this Wildcat defense was penetration and kick to be able to find an open player. And then you take advantage of those mismatches. You might be able to blow by a second person and get to the rim. But if Schreck, Dembele, players like that can put it on the floor and attack, I think they're going to get themselves some better looks than they have. Maybe there's been a lot of contested threes. You're looking for uncontested threes.
Missouri also shorthanded the last few games. Angelique Galakalandi from Manchester, New Hampshire, moved from the Congo to the U.S. She was injured in that Virginia game, and that is one that they are missing a grad student transfer from UMass, so it's more experience on this team as well.
Yeah, she has been a big help. It really was early, averaging almost 5 rebounds a game. But she made 30 starts last season at UMass. She led the Atlantic 10 in field goal percentage. So you remove that from this Mizzou lineup here over the last couple games. That is a big hole that they're trying to fill.
And Bele full circle back for Linthicum, and an offensive foul called against the third Linthicum on the team for Missouri. The youngest, the true freshman Hannah. Her sisters Sarah and Micah also on the team. They've got family that played at Missouri. Great-grandpa, grandpa, and dad all played football at MU. Probably had some great battles with Kansas State back in their day. Lee just turns. She doesn't even have to face the basket.
It's been so easy here in the second quarter for Ioka Lee, being able to control that pace.
Sides almost took it away from Judd. Tipped off of Sanchez.
And early in that first 10 minutes, felt as though Mizzou really controlled things. Here, I think in the second 10 minutes, it has been Kansas State that's been able to dictate pace of play as well as how they wanted to operate. A few times, get up and go, get down the floor, find an easy transition bucket. Others, they have been able to get in that half-court offense and wait and be patient and find Ioka Lee in the post.
32-25, Kansas State leading Missouri. The legend Bill Snyder in the building, taking things in. He presented the game ball before the game. I mean, really, from St. Joseph, went to Lafayette High School, a legend, one of the architect of the best college football turnaround in history, a Hall of Famer. Really special night. Everyone's excited he's here.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to be able to honor Coach Snyder in that way because it really kind of goes all the way back to the roots of where someone's beginnings, where they have been. And the beginning of that career for Bill Snyder started in St. Joe for him as a youngster, stops at the University of Iowa, and then his career at Kansas State and rebuilding something they call Futility U no longer is what they call Kansas State.
Linthicum trying to kick it out. Shrek inside, triple team, passed out of it, but stolen away by Jalen Glenn. Here come the Wildcats. Back for Glenn, wants the triple, no good. And a long rebound now, chance for Haley Frank to run. Inside, Gregory, great defense.
And a lot of contact down low, and Missouri looking for a call, can't get it. They had Judd one-on-one against Gregory, but a good defensive stand by the Wildcats.
Gregory, corner three, short. Rebound, Frank. We have been up and down a lot in this first half.
It's been frenetic, it seems like, and possessions where all of a sudden it wasn't, and now it is, and there is just Mbale with her ability to keep that dribble alive. And she has been a handful for these Kansas State guards to contain out front.
Leads the SEC in assists per game, third in steals per game. She's tied for fourth in the nation in steals. What was wild when I saw the number, 33 steals entering the game. Notre Dame's Hannah Hidalgo, who is a freshman, leads the nation with 48 steals through 8 games.
She is one of the fantastic freshmen that is on the landscape of women's college basketball right now. But Mbale herself just making things happen defensively for this Mizzou team all season so far.
Driving again, trying to wrap a pass around. Ioka Lee got a piece of it. 17 seconds left in the first half. Kansas State by 7. Have played much of this second quarter without Serena Sundell. 5 seconds. Sides going to work. To the corner. Gregory open. No. Sanchez unmarked. Is it good? It is. They count the bucket. Not sure how Gisela Sanchez ended up absolutely alone for the offensive rebound.
She was